Hey, Metatron. Long time no see. Yeah, let me, I need a little more green light. So let's get the green light over here because that makes me look, wow. Look at that. Hey, noble ones and noble academics. So, first of all, sorry for not posting for a while. I've been a little busy with my main channel and been trying to, post more often over there. But then again, now that I finally, after 11 years on this platform, figured out how to use OBS, should be a lot easier to produce content. Therefore, I'm going to start posting again on this channel too. Fantastic news. So how about we get started right with a nice channel called, let me show you, there is Olly Richards. Now I've already reviewed a video of his, was about the Portuguese language and he did a fantastic job. So I really liked his content when I checked it out at that time. Today we found, and it's called How Professional Spies Learn Languages Fast. Now as someone who has learned a few languages relatively fast, maybe, I don't know, kind of depends. I'm curious to see what he's going to say. Let's see if any of these techniques are something that I used myself or if it's just going to blow my mind and then we're going to learn freaking Swedish next week. Let's go.
I've spent the last 6 months shadowing former spies to uncover the truth behind their incredible language learning abilities. I've been blown away to find 12 specific linguistic secrets that they use to learn foreign languages fast.
And we weren't even told what language it was going to be at first. It was it was shrouded in mystery.
Now, after learning 8 languages myself and teaching tens of thousands of students, I've been mighty impressed.
8 languages, I appreciate that. I'd like to hear him speak. I do think this man is legit though, because there are a lot of people on this platform, unfortunately, a lot of influencers like, I'm a polyglot, and they are frauds. And I will call every single one of them out. Prepare for that series, or I'll make some enemies. But this man, to me, seems legit, because I really liked his Portuguese videos, and let's go.
Impressed by these techniques. CIA, MI6, KGB, we've got them all in here. So if you'd like to steal some of these pro tricks to speed up your own language learning, well, you're in the right place.
You would just say, rip it out for, oh my God. What if he now launches and realizes that there's two Westerners in the room as well, who shouldn't be here, as he found out, and all this is going through the back of your mind thinking, oh, crikey, funny, what the hell's going to happen here?
Who do you think he might be talking about? Take a wild guess. I will show you a little bit later on. Now, as we all know, spies are incredibly good at foreign languages.
Guten Tag, kann ich Ihnen helfen?
Ja, mein Büro hat ein Auto reserviert.
Yeah, Bond should have been dead a long time ago.
Because of the accent, of course. Well, that happens a lot. Wow, look at the special effect. It reminds me of GoldenEye for Nintendo 64. Of course, I have a random Nintendo 64 sitting right here. I've got a gaming channel. Link in the description. Metatron. Everywhere. But yeah, that does happen a lot in movies. This person is so proficient and they sound horrible.
Spies have a lot more riding on their language skills though than just impressing the locals.
A toast per ora e per il momento che verrà. To this moment and the moment yet to come.
Yeah, his Italian was horrible here. It was really hard for me to understand him.
And honestly, if MI6 and the CIA had to do things in a normal way, I wouldn't have such a great story to tell you.
У тебе бил, брат. Я з Австралії, пан не похожий на тебе. В Києві, по-моєму, в 93-му.
Love that show. So why do you think spies bother learning languages? Can't they just hack your computer and spy on you sneakily? No, if you are a spy, you have to blend in, gather intelligence, impersonate people. And as you'll see later, a huge part of it is influencing people, all without getting caught, of course. But if you can't speak someone's language, how on earth are you going to influence them? Words, after all, are weapons.
Excellent. And also, if you have to understand, like if you're a spy, you're trying to gather intelligence, but if you can't read it, and you can't understand like what they're saying, of course, that minimizes your effectiveness.
It was pretty much just over a year-long language course. And then you have about 6 to 8 months then after that of your applied training, as they term it, which is then learning your tradecraft of how to apply that language in the real world and what's required of you, which is the classified element.
And spies need to understand words like their lives depend on it. That is their reason why for learning a language. We all need a reason why to learn a language, whether it's meeting people, reading books, watching TV, understanding a culture. Finding your own reason why that's going to motivate you to keep learning is absolutely key.
There are 100,000 undercover covert operatives
collecting secrets.
If you're going to be an agent for the CIA, there are all sorts of crazy requirements like war zone deployment experience and learning another language. But get this, real spies thrive in chaos.
Hello, Katarina. I have the package for your society. I am in the door. No, I am to the door. On the door.
And the CIA doesn't actually care how advanced your vocab is. They care if you have what it takes to learn a completely new language, because it's hard and many people quit. Most people actually never finish their language courses. That's what the statistics say. But you know what the CIA says? Any language...
And I think that's a problem with wrong expectations. And that happens a lot, actually, kind of overlaps with people that start a YouTube channel and then they stop after 6 months because they thought, oh, within 6 months, I'm surely going to get 80,000 subscribers. Then that doesn't happen. And then because their goals were too stretched and then they're disappointed. They're like, well, I only have like 200 subs in like 8 months. So this is not working for me. Well, believe it or not, sometimes it does happen. You have channels that make like 5 videos, 100,000 subs. It does happen. Very, very rare. It's an exception. You should not focus on an exception. I think same thing here. There are some people extremely talented. They will make incredible progress in language learning so fast, but you shouldn't look at that and be like, oh, that's me, because, you know, we all have this idea of we are the protagonist, I'm so special, that kind of stuff. But sometimes that can be detrimental because then you're going to set the wrong goals. With my channel, for instance, and I mean the main channel, first 2 years, I did not grow one bit. I had like 300 subs. But then the growth became exponential because I didn't give up. Same with languages, never give up.
Language course trying to make you perfect is completely missing the point.
Perfection is a bit off-putting, and we're more endeared towards imperfection. So the next time your mind criticizes you for all your imperfections, take a deep breath, release, remind yourself, imperfection is more relatable.
You getting this? Listen, it doesn't matter how much time you spend going over new words and grammar if you never actually have any conversations in the language you're learning. You'll have all of this knowledge in your head, but you won't be any good at actually speaking.
Why don't you go sit on your boat and I'll blow our foghorn when we're out in gang. Oh, good fish. Oh, God, I forgot my line.
Well, I hate TikTok, so I wish that part wasn't there. But regardless, up to this point, fantastic presentation, excellent host, but nothing that we heard was secret, really. But then again, I don't know, maybe in a little bit we'll get the secret sauce. I'm Italian. I'm all about the sauces.
Like her, she doesn't care. Guys, when you try too hard to be perfect, that's what the CIA calls the perfection paradox. It's what happens when you get so focused on practicing a skill and trying to get it perfect that you never actually use the skill at all. Indeed, in my own language learning, I've always found that perfection really is the enemy, because it's only by making mistakes you can figure out what you got wrong and then actually improve.
Absolutely.
And that's why spies train to recognize this problem and actually fix it. Be a Jennifer Lawrence. Just open your mouth and speak. So if perfect grammar is...
For a moment, I thought she was a spy. I'm like, oh, she's a spy for the whole world to see.
Important language skill a spy needs, then what is? Fluency? A foolproof accent? Cultural awareness? Something else entirely? Well, we will see. But first, don't you want to hear a spy trick that is literally the opposite of what guys like me always tell you?
Please.
I know you do.
It's very, very hard to beat the bad guys. Very, very hard. The best thing you can do is learn to think like them so you can stay kind of one step ahead. So when you start to protect your front door, you look for the bad guy to come in through the back door.
Crazy spy.
Once again, now every time he has got a speaker, I'm like, is that a spy? Is that a former agent?
Knowledge here. Your brain learns faster in an unpredictable environment. So you know how those other language teachers are always nagging you about sticking to a routine? I think I might have said that from time to time as well. Spies say the opposite. See, in Spyland, being predictable is a one-way ticket to getting caught. Plus, being a creature of habit can actually put your brain to sleep. Your brain's like, oh, this old grammar thing again, and switches off. So what is a spy's secret weapon? Anti-routines.
Number one is obviously just shifting the perspective of I need to do more things and I need to add more things to my routine, when in fact you need to stop doing things that you're currently doing. All that remains is the work to be done.
The thing is, learning is exactly the opposite of a brainless habit. It's about shaking things up, and anti-routines are designed to upset your habits and force your brain to think actively at all times. That's
You know what's interesting? That reminds me of the Blueprint by Arnold Schwarzenegger, when he was talking about how he put on muscle, and you know, it's a very interesting documentary. Of course, he was talking specifically about shocking your muscle with training, which I thought was really interesting. But it pretty much is the same concept, isn't it?
That's why spies deliberately sabotage their routines when learning a language.
So the 6 of us had 3 months to learn Pashto up to a really decent level. So that's reading, writing, and actually obviously listening, but speaking it as well, to be able to converse, to get the points across, so we can find out pieces of the intelligence jigsaw again in Afghanistan.
And if you keep your brain on its toes, you will learn a language faster. Want some ideas? Well, how about instead of studying at your desk today, take your story learning course and go and sit in a park. And when you go and get your takeaway coffee, instead of just ordering it in English, first think, how might you ask for it in Spanish or French? And then while you're at it, just try practicing with the dogs. I know this sounds crazy, but it kind of works. By the way, have you ever wondered if sounding like a native speaker is actually a good thing? It might not be, but hey, if you're enjoying
is, and not that you have to. I mean, I don't. I know that when I speak English, you can tell that I'm not a native speaker. The only thing I would say, if I want to be like critical, but at the same time fair with myself, is I think people can tell that I picked up English in the UK, and that's it. You can still tell that there's something wrong with my rhythm sometimes, or the way I pronounce certain vowels or certain words, and that's okay. But then again, trying to get as close to a native speaker as you can is beneficial. I want to say 99%, unless you want to sound charming, then yeah, there are situations where having a little bit of an accent is cute, I guess. So it sort of depends. There are scenarios in which, sure. But if you want to be a professional, I think it's always good to try to sound as natural as possible, which is really what we're talking about. When we say like, oh, I don't want to have an accent, or I don't want to have too broad of an accent, what you're really trying to do is you're trying to sound natural. That's the idea.
Enjoying this video so far, I would love it if you would like the video and subscribe to the channel. Your support really helps me keep going and make more of these videos.
Absolutely.
Si jamais il me trouve ici, je me fais tuer.
Je ne laisserai personne vous trouver. Ne vous inquiétez pas, c'est que j'ai ma réputation à préserver.
All right, what's the next? So we've got Fluency Trap, accents, right? Immersive training for spies, well, immersive training for everything, really. Memory techniques. It's pretty good. Let's watch one more, and then I might do a part 2, because this is a little bit of a long video. But let's do the fluency one. Let's see what happens.
Listen, you don't want to be too fluent if you're a spy. But wait, why would I say that? Surely that cannot be true.
No CIA officer wants to be fluent in a language. You don't want to be fluent in a language. Because if you're fluent in a language, you end up looking and sounding extremely suspicious. Why is this ambiguously brown guy rocking through Paris speaking perfect French with an accent that comes from South France? It's too suspicious.
Makes perfect sense, right? You definitely want to speak the language well enough to have a conversation about a B2 level at least, but spies need to blend in, and sounding too perfect can actually raise suspicion.
That's so strange. I mean, not that I'm a spy, I don't know anything. So, I mean, I don't know who the previous guy was, but perhaps it's someone who clearly has more experience than me when it comes to understanding the CIA operatives and how they work. But then again, that's very context-based. If you are in a situation like the original expert, the one I was talking about, Afghanistan, where you need to try and make sure people don't know you're a foreigner, then I think in that situation you want to be as fluent as possible. But then again, for the blending in, it's very, very anecdotal, I suppose. It's very situational, contextually based. We could probably spend time trying to imagine scenarios in which that statement might happen to be true, might end up being false. I won't spend too much time in it.
I've been here. The 80 out possibilities have enormously increased. Everything about Horsham is that it's reasonably civilized. It's not so rushed and so full that, you feel that you're under pressure all the time.
You've got to walk that tightrope very carefully. If I were a spy in, I don't know, Brazil or somewhere, I could probably fool them with a heavy disguise. But, no one looking at me is going to think that I'm Brazilian. No one's buying that. But speaking of blending in, there is another thing that can break your cover.
Dies hier ist der hervorragende Sensationsdarsteller Enzo Gorlon.
Buongiorno. Signori, è piacere. Gli amici della vedetta ammirata da tutti noi, questa gemma propria della nostra cultura, saranno naturalmente accolti sotto la mia protezione per la durata del loro soggiorno.
Yeah, of course, grazie. Of course, I understood him. So let's talk about that little Italian scene. So of course, the American officer, he has the thickest accent ever, so you can tell that they're supposed to be Italian. That's what's funny. And of course, you could tell like a mile away, yeah, these guys are not Italian. What about the German officer's Italian, though? The problem with that is a little bit of a problem with the actor, in the sense that I don't think he knows Italian, and I think he just memorized a whole bunch of sentences that he has no idea what they mean. I mean, yeah, he's been told what the translation is, but he doesn't know where to put a pause. he's speaking too fast, that's of course part of the dramatic aspect of, oh my gosh, this guy's so fluent. But fluency isn't speak as fast as possible without any pace. That's not really fluency. And if I were in the team that is training this actor to create this scene, I would have told him, okay, so speak very fast, but in these specific areas, you need a small pause just to breathe in, because that's what an Italian would do. Remember, fluency is all about sounding as close as possible to the natives, not only when it comes to accent and pronunciation, but also when it comes to the way, the rhythm, the way they build together sentences, the choice of words, of course. So that German officer, he spoke so fast and his words were so mixed together that at the end of the day, I actually had a hard time at first to understand him. So the first couple of sentences, no idea what he said. After that, I did understand him, but it actually took too much effort. I had to really focus, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I recognize, because of course he has an accent. The accent is not really a problem necessarily. He's not trying to pretend to be Italian. He's just pretending to be, they are our allies during World War II, and I speak it fluently, and now I know your disguise. Still works. It's an excellent scene. It's really funny. But yeah, it was difficult to understand him for a native speaker.
Yeah, nobody is buying that he is Italian. Listen, an accent is not a problem. An accent is fine as long as you're a civilian. It's no big deal. But for a spy, an accent can be their best friend or worst enemy. So you can figure out the problem here.
Ich schlage vor, dass Sie das Fräulein nicht weiter belästigen und an Ihren Tisch zurückkehren.
Entschuldigen Sie, Herr Sturmführer, Sie haben einen sehr ungewöhnlichen Akzent. Woher kommen Sie?
Just a single mispronounced word can reveal that you are a foreigner, even if your grammar and vocab are perfect.
Absolutely. Even like with vowels particularly, there are some sounds in foreign languages, depending on the distance between your native tongue and the one you're trying to master. There will be some sounds that are not even, they don't even exist in your language. So unless you're extremely trained, very talented, perhaps worked with a language coach, with a pronunciation coach, you won't even notice it. Like you'll think, oh no, I'm saying it exactly like I'm supposed to, but you're not, and you can't recognize it because you don't have that sound, so you don't know what you don't know. That's of course multiplied when we look into pitch accent languages such as Mandarin Chinese, Cantonese, or even Japanese at the end of the day, because you might think, oh, I sound so good, but in reality you don't know that it's not a stress-based language, it's a pitch-based language as well.
Unser frisch gebackener Vater hier, aber auch ich ein sehr genaues Ohr für Akzente. Und wie er finde ich Ihren äußerst seltsam.
What kind of accent are we talking about? You're speaking German, but you sound American. Does that automatically blow your cover? Well, not necessarily. That only gives you away if you're pretending to be German or whatever it is. You look American. Why do you speak perfect Arabic or the other way around?
What do you do for a living? I'm really glad you asked that. I'm a computer engineer. You're a what? I'm sorry, I said, I'm a computer engineer.
The key is to match your accent to your cover story. Ever heard of sleeper spies? Now this is where things get terrifying. Sleeper spies have to erase every trace of their native accent. Now this is real movie stuff.
Speak Russian. Мы тебя очень любим, Сонечка.
They have to sound like they were born there. A single wrong word can be the end. This is...
To me, rather than trying to train someone to do this, if I were a government agency, I would just skip it and get someone who's actually bilingual from birth. That is the way you do it. There are some cases that there are some people that I've heard that are so talented that they could fool me. There was once a time when I met an American guy, and he picked up the Italian language so well that I literally, if I had spoken to him on the phone, I would have thought it was from the north, like my dad is, but he wasn't. And that was sensational, but it's so rare in reality that I would rather not risk it and just pick someone who does have that ability because of how they were brought up, because of their family. Maybe dad speaks Italian or Japanese, Mandarin, whatever you, and mum speaks English, and they've been brought up with both. They spent time both countries perhaps, or maybe in the house they just speak Chinese and outside he speaks English. He has no accent. That would be fantastic. Although then again, the example with Chinese is kind of silly because obviously you're going to be able to tell. But there are situations in which that could work. And so, yeah, excellent. Anyways, very good video. We watched about half. I might make a part 2, but if you enjoyed it, please check out the original video, of course. Subscribe to the channel. I'm going to subscribe in a little bit. And thank you very much for watching. I'll be posting more content soon. Thank you. Ciao, ciao.